Alright, Bills Mafia, what's good? Welcome to my pre-game preview video for the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, if you've been watching the first two episodes of this, you'll know that the format's kind of changed. I'm still trying to figure it out to find the best, somewhat original thing for this channel for me, and something that I enjoy doing and something that you guys enjoy watching. So today, here's how it's going to work. We have 3 problems that the Bills could potentially face from Miami, 3 possible pushovers from Miami, and then we're going to go over offensive expectations for the game, defensive expectations, and then at the end, as always, I have stat line predictions, and of course, score predictions. Let's talk about the first potential problem in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Right now, currently, they're one of, if not the best wide receiver duo in the league. They've got speed, they've got yards after the catch, they've got it all. They will burn you if you're not careful. I do believe that they can be contained a little bit if you stop the yards after the catch, because a lot of their yards, majority of their yards do come from that, which is something the Bills offense does struggle at, but it's besides the point. With rookie corners starting, you're missing one of your starting safeties, could miss 2. Those 2 could have a huge game, and those young guys really need to step up for the Bills because we can't lose these divisional games, especially early in the season. Problem number 2, Xavier Howard. Now, he hasn't exactly been a huge issue for the Bills in the past, but we know how good he can be. That's why we're talking about potential problem here. He's only picked Allen off once in his time in his career playing against him. And granted, the Bills have torched Xavier Howard all the time, pretty much. Every time Allen plays the Dolphins, he torches that secondary. You could almost consider this a pushover. One of the reasons why I think the Ravens were able to push the ball down the field last week versus Miami was in part to lack of defensive pass rush, which contributes to the secondary. The better the pass rush, the better your secondary can perform. So if their pass rush isn't getting home with an already weak secondary, could cause problems for their defense, and Allen can have a field day. But again, we're talking about Xavier Howard here, and he's still a baller. He's still one of the best corners in the league, and you have to always be careful of those ball hawk guys. You gotta win the turnover battle in this game. You have to. Potential problem number 3, new head coach Mike McDaniels for the Miami Dolphins. He's considered by many one of the brightest young offensive minds in the league, if not behind guys like Sean McVay. Personally, I am very impressed with his work with Tua and this offense so far. It's electric. It's very fun to watch too. I can't lie, even as a Bills fan, we're supposed to be Dolphins haters, but they've been fun to watch with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and their new coach, Tua. One thing I recently saw was how Mike McDaniels was teaching his wide receivers to do this crossover move. He was showing them Allen Iverson film and making them look at his crossover and to use that in a game. They mentioned a Bills receiver, Stephon Diggs, using it while he was in Minnesota and how it worked. And they tried it in a game, and it worked. Now, that's not necessarily something that you'll see in the game, them doing crossovers on their rookie cornerbacks. But it's something cool and shows how brilliant his mind is just to pick something like that from a completely different sport and teach it and implement it into football to make his team better. He's a smart man. He's a brilliant man. And his scheme could be a problem for the Bills. Now, let's talk pushovers. We got Tuna turned the ball over, Tua Tagovailoa. We all know the game he had last week. 400-something yards, 6 touchdowns, couple picks. He proved that he can play, okay? We can't deny that. He had an amazing game. However, although we can give him the credit he deserves for that game, we have to also look at his game versus New England. Wasn't that great? All of his other games, not that great. He does have a very impressive record as a starter in this league. Also something you can't deny. Whether you believe wins are a QB stat or not, he wins. It's just that simple. It's like Jimmy Garoppolo. The guy just wins. He went to the NFC Championship last year. Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, this is the first time he's played the Bills with the new head coach, the new offensive weapons. With the Bills' relentless pass rush, they are missing a couple guys. Of course, Ed Oliver and Jordan Phillips are out for this game at the time of filming this. Bills are going to get pressure. They still got Von Miller. They'll flip some guys inside. How does Tua handle that? I would expect the Bills to run a lot of 4-man pressure all game, especially with how depleted the secondary is. It's not looking good for the Bills, I'm not going to lie. But we need to see what they do, how they do this. I'm not ready to crown Tua as a top 10, top 15 quarterback in the league after one game. We still need to see more, and if he can beat the Bills, put up another good performance, the tide is going to start to turn for him, and if he keeps up that consistency, that's what we need to see from him. Consistency. It's what we haven't seen from Allen over the course of a couple years, and now we're starting to see more of that from him. Although Allen was already regarded as one of the best, we need to see more consistency and better performances out of Tua before we can crown him a guy. So obviously got the talent, we just need to see the consistency. Pushover number 2, Miami's offensive depth I find kind of lacking, to be honest. I was looking for more potential pushovers for this game or problem players, but I honestly couldn't find any. And that's not a knock. I'm not saying, oh, the Bills are so much better than the Dolphins, which they're a better team, but the Dolphins are also a really good team. They're going to be a playoff team. I wouldn't be surprised if they win a playoff game if it's not against the Bills. But outside of Tyreek and Waddle, the guy Gesicki, I'm not really concerned about their offensive depth. So if the Bills play a lot of drop 7, rush 4, how is Tua going to manage his main 2 receivers being taken away? Now, if the Bills were to run man coverage, could cause a lot more problems. You might see more out of those Tua and Tyreek. But I expect the Bills to play a lot of rush 4, drop 7 zone. Mainly, I think you're going to see a lot of the cover 2 defense, zone coverage, of course. This isn't Madden. Man coverage actually gets torched a lot more in real life than it does the video game. Cover 2 is one of the best coverages in the league. Cover 2 defense is one of the best. Take away the deep pass. You got to take away the big plays, the yards after the catch. You want to play over the top. You want to let them have those short passes, those short, quick gains. Keep them away from the big play. If you keep Tua and Tyreek away from those explosive, deep down the field plays that they had versus the Ravens, I think these young corners, the depth on our defense is going to be able to contain that depth on the offense just fine. I think if you contain Waddle and Tyreek this week, you're going to have no problem with the offensive depth, with the depth on the Bills defense. The rookie corners, the DeMar Hamlin, Jaquan Johnson starting at safety in place of Hyde. It's going to be a tough matchup. But like I said, just play that behind cover 2 zone defense, rush 4, and you should have a good chance. Now, the third pushover I have is the Miami defense. I know I talked highly of Xavier Howard, but that's because he's still a great player on a weaker defense, on a weaker secondary. That's just the facts. They got absolutely destroyed by Lamar and the Ravens. I believe they blitzed on 16 of Lamar's dropbacks, and he went 13 for 16 for a couple tutties, he went off. Miami does play a lot of man coverage even after Brian Flores left. They've always been more of a man coverage team because they've got a lot of good corners. Although Byron Jones is out. They got the Noah guy. I'm not even going to bother trying to say his last name. They got Xavier Howard. Allen does struggle more against zone coverage, so I'm wondering what this Dolphins defense is going to do. Are they going to steer their game plan or their coverages more towards Allen's weaknesses, or are they going to just stick to their game, stick to what they do, that man coverage, that blitz? I do think you're going to see a lot of Isaiah McKenzie in this game due to that. I do think you're going to see a lot of the slot guys, Crowder, McKenzie, due to needing the quick passing game in this game. And their D-line hasn't really performed so far. I don't think they sacked Lamar once last week. So if our O-line can hold up, if they don't blitz a lot, which I think they will, our O-line just needs to hold up and give Allen all the time he needs to be wheeling and dealing, baby. Now let's talk about offensive expectations for this game. I expect a lot of points from the Bills. Nothing like last week, 40, but in the mid-20s to low 30 range. I think Josh Allen is going to have a huge game. He's going to torch the Miami defense for lots of yards, couple touchdowns, as the Dolphins' father does. When Josh Allen is in Josh Allen Stadium, you just know he's going to play a great game. I would also expect to see a lot of 10, 11, 12 personnel this week, unlike last week where we saw a lot of 20, 21, and 22 personnel. Against the Titans defense, they ran a lot of more heavy packages. You saw a lot of Reggie Gilliam, 2 tight ends. But against a more man coverage blitz defense, you want more of your wide receivers out there. You want the quick pass game going. You want those short passes. You want to get the ball out quick this week. And I think that's the key for Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen, is get the ball out quick. How can Allen get the ball into his playmaker's hands as fast as possible, get those yards after the catch, and get those touchdowns in the win. Now let's talk about defensive expectations. If I recorded this video earlier in the week, I would have been like, oh, we got our secondary, we're all healthy, we're gonna destroy the Dolphins. But now our two starting corners are rookies, Kyer Elam and Christian Benford. Micah Hyde is out, Jordan Poyer is questionable, so you already have one of DeMar Hamlin and Jaquan Johnson starting, and you could have both if Poyer stays out of the game. You're missing your two starting 3-tech tackles in Jordan Phillips and Ed Oliver. Tim Settle, your starting 1-tech, might be out as well. He also might be out. So you're missing 3 of your starting 4 defensive tackles, which means you're going to have to rotate guys like Epinesa, Boogie Basham inside, away from their natural positions on the edge. All these injuries are going to cause tough problems for the Bills. But I do have faith that if they come up with a great game plan, as everyone can, I believe the key to this game for the Bills defense is getting the 4-man pressure, because I don't expect them to blitz against this pass-heavy Miami offense. You need to contain these explosive plays like the same thing you do against Kansas City. I'm pretty sure they would run cover 2 high safeties every play. It frustrated me because they were torching it anyways, but that's kind of what you do to take away the over-the-top stuff. So expect the Bills to do a lot of that this week, and to help that and make that perform even better, to get the best out of that 2-high look, you're going to need that 4-man rush to get some pressure. And we got Von Miller, so hopefully he can draw some double-team blocks. Hopefully Tim Settle plays to eat up more double-team blocks. We can get some pressure, we can get some sacks, and get Tua to force the ball out quick. And make some mistakes. Who knows? Now let's talk about stat line prediction this week. I'm just going to do one for Josh Allen. I have him going 24 for 32, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, no turnovers this week. I'm calling it. As for a score prediction, I'm going to go with 30-17 Buffalo, I think. Miami's going to score points. In this league, you're going to score points. You're not going to get shutouts. Like, granted, we've only given up 17 points in the first 2 games. It's not very many, but again, you're playing a much better offense, I believe. Probably the best offense they've played so far. If I had to rank 3 quarterbacks they've played so far, it'd be Matt Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, who they're playing this week, and Ryan Tannehill. So how those two have fared so far, if you find the middle of that performance and Tua plays like that, the Bills are going to win this game. No problem. No questions asked. But if we get somewhere in between average Tua and the Tua we saw last week, this could be a problem for the Bills. This could be a potential trap game, and that's what I'm kind of worried about. The Bills lose this one early. The Dolphins are 3-0. They got 2 games on us in the division. It could be trouble in the long term for the season. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on this video. Don't forget to leave a comment and your score predictions down in the comments below. On your way out, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. And as a wise man once said, go Bills.